Hello and welcome back to Off Grid Style. I'm Nikki and I'm so glad to have you here. Today we are talking about the 5 types of political preppers. And believe it or not, there are actually more than one type of political prepper. There was a recent study that just came out that said that roughly 30% lean more towards the right, roughly 30% lean more towards the left of Americans, I should say, and 40% consider themselves more moderate or independent. So there's actually a whole slew of people out there who are not necessarily really, really right or really, really left. So I thought this would be an interesting video after I heard that statistic put out. So let's find out what those 5 types of political preppers are. So it is essential to understand that the world of prepping is actually made up of a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different belief systems. They all have one thing in common, and that is the belief that they need to be prepared for any eventuality, a disaster, an emergency, or an shtf situation. So we're going to start off with the largest group, and that would be right-wing preppers, or those that are conservative in their voting habits. They are, as I said, the largest, arguably the largest group of preppers out there. And this is what you think of when you think of prepping, is this group of conservative-minded people. Typically, this group is preparing with the mindset that they're looking for self-sufficiency, firearm stockpiles and proficiency, and a strong belief in individual liberty and rights. So some examples of right-wing preppers would include libertarians who value personal liberty and self-reliance, constitutionalists, those that believe solidly and completely in the tenets of the Constitution. And also militia members are part of this group, and they also are right-wing, could be affiliated with local militias, and they believe in the importance of being armed. The focus areas of this group include firearms and self-defense. They definitely believe in stocking up on ammunition, as an example. They also believe in learning self-defense tactics. They believe in food and water storage more firmly than some of the other groups, and they believe in their ability to barter and trade. Typically, their concerns mostly focus around economic collapse, the overreach of the government, as I already said, natural disasters, and civil unrest. So then our next group is going to be left-wing preppers, which does make up a much smaller portion of the entirety of the preparedness group as a whole. They're concerned more with the climate, and this is typically what drives them to make preparedness actions and choices and plans. Since they are concerned, the left-wingers that is, with environmental disasters and socio-political issues stemming from that, they tend to prioritize sustainability, renewable energy, and eco-friendly practices. They are committed to collective action, and so they make being part of a community a very, very large part of their preparedness choices. So the examples of this group would include, as I said before, environmental activists, social justice advocates, and sustainable living enthusiasts. And their concerns typically center around the climate and environment, social and economic inequalities, and humanitarian aid. Our next group is apolitical preppers, meaning that they really don't align themselves with any specific political party. They are more concerned about the practicality and self-sufficiency aspects of prepping versus any strong political association or affiliation. Their political beliefs don't really reflect in their prepping style. They prep more for safety, security, disaster resilience rather than any specific political motivation. So some examples of apolitical preppers would include family preppers. They're prepping to protect their family, not necessarily because of what they believe is going to happen specifically politically, but what they believe is going to happen from what they're seeing going on in the world. Also, urban preppers, and of course, outdoor enthusiasts who are going to be preparing just because they're outdoor enthusiasts. Their focus is going to be emergency kits, home security, and skills and training. The apolitical preppers' concerns regarding why they're prepping are usually going to focus on natural disasters, power outages, and those types of situations, and also economic uncertainty. And typically this group's motivation revolves around their own sense of responsibility and taking responsibility for their loved ones. Our next group is moderate preppers. Now, this is a group of people that kind of run middle of the road. They don't really lean too much left or too much right. They kind of may pick and choose between the two groups, but they tend to run mostly down the middle of the road without any true right-leaning or left-leaning. This group may also try to strike a balance between what they see happening, what right-wing preppers are doing, and what left-wing preppers are doing. So they're going to try to be in between those two groups. They are probably going to be open-minded as far as a broader sense of preparedness, and adaptability is one of their biggest strong points. Some examples of this group of preppers would include community-oriented preppers who still believe to a certain degree that if shtf happens or any other major disaster, that the government is going to be there in some form or fashion. Also, just your straight out practical preppers who do the basics. They store their food, their water, know how to build shelters, know how to make fire, and that's what they are all about, is being practical. And then you have some that are a hybrid approach, like I explained earlier. This group is interested in community building, basic self-sufficiency, and emergency skills. And their concerns tend to focus more on natural disasters, economic stability, and community resilience. And then you have a group called Anarchist preppers. And this group is kind of using prepping as a way to completely escape any reliance on any governing body or entity. Their focus is on self-governance and communal cooperation, and in a lot of cases, communal living. This group's focus areas usually include things like self-reliance, alternative economies and bartering, and direct action. They may protest, for example. This type of prepper's biggest concerns are government overreach, corporate control, and civil unrest. Now, obviously, I need to say this, there are people who blur these lines. There are people who are completely right-wing, let's say, but believe in a lot of the things of one of the other groups, as an example, or left-wing and believe in a lot of the things of the other groups. There are always going to be exceptions to any group structure. So when I'm telling you about these, it's kind of a generalized idea. It's not necessarily this is set in stone and you better listen and you better figure out which group you belong to. So we all think that the political party that is most affiliated, obviously, with prepping is the right wing or the most conservative wing. But in actuality, there's a whole slew of other people out there that are doing exactly what right-wing people or very conservative people are doing on a daily basis. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to be very, very careful in my videos to not show a leaning one way or the other, because I don't want to offend everybody. I want everybody to like my videos. All right, well, I hope you liked the video. I thought it was pretty cool and interesting to learn that there are a lot of different mindsets out there all preparing, possibly for their different reasons, but some of them, are the same reasons, and they're all basically doing the same type of prepping, regardless of their political affiliation. So I hope you thought that was kind of interesting. I did when I did the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. As usual, I will always answer you back. I hope you all have a good afternoon. Thanks very much.